Welcome back, everyone, to the Matthew podcast, episode 4. You may or may not know I have a guest, somebody sitting right over there today. Just want to start off though, with thanking just everybody for all the, again, continue watching, getting me here to episode 4. It's really been a great journey, and I just want to just say I really appreciate it, and I'm just gonna do my best to continue to try to put out content that's helpful and interesting. But yeah, so today have a special guest, Mr. Mario Mejia. And if you don't know him, he is been definitely a dear friend, a brother, stepbrother for over 20 years. He is the dragon to my Nighthawk. If you don't know, I mean, if you know, you know.
If you know, you know.
And yeah, we've just been through a lot, and it is very fitting that he would be on my first episode.
No, fourth episode, first guest.
Well, first guest. Thank you.
There
You're right. Thank you for correcting me. See, it's good, helpful to have somebody here to kind of regulate me, so I don't ramble about the wrong thing for 20 minutes. But yeah, so he is, first of all, just an amazing person. I've learned so much from. I've been a better person for him being just my brother, and try not to cry too early on this episode, but
so we're gonna cry, huh?
it may happen.
Dang
he is pretty much a master, the Picasso of auto detailing. He has paintbrushes to prove it. He's a great father, great baby daddy, responsible one, puts in work. So just want to introduce you, one of my best friend, Mario Mejia. It's weird, 818 Auto Detailing. If you don't know, in the detailing world, they call each other by their business name. So people are a gold class or are an elite, and they call each other those things. So if you don't know that, so I'm sure some people call him 818.
818. Yeah, there's a lot of people that, when I go to different events, it's like, what? Oh, you're 818, and then they realize my name is Mario, and I've known you for 5 years, and I've never heard your name. It's just 818.
I'm sure. So if you want to share, I think we just want to kick it off, kind of how 818 got started, and we talked about earlier.
Okay.
I mean, because it's just been, I think sometimes people don't realize, or they kind of don't pay attention, and this is some area I actually want to maybe explore more in the future, of not noticing interests, special talents as a kid. And I know you kind of know where I'm going with this, and just maybe start off and sharing your detailing journey.
Okay. So I've been, I guess, officially professional wise detailing for 13 years. I started part-time, but if I want to go back to how it started, I've been washing cars since I was 7.
Yeah.
I'm an only child. You
were forced to?
I don't know if I was forced to. I don't know. I mean, an only child, mom and dad were in the picture, but I just remember my first bike. I wanted to buy my first bike. Obviously, my parents gave me some money, but I wanted to make more money to buy my bike faster. So then I started washing cars. I would wash my parents' cars, my neighbors' cars. I used to live in an apartment complex, so I used to wash neighbors in the complex. And then
that's a lot. After
I got a little bit more brave, I would go outside of the complex and go around the block.
Dude, I didn't know you. I always remember you telling me you would just maybe watch. I just thought it was your dad's car. I didn't know you were actually washing that many cars.
No, yeah. No, so I would wash my dad and my mom's, and give me some money. And then my neighbors would be like, hey, you want to watch mine? I'll pay you. And I'm like, yeah, yeah, I want money, right? So I started watching other neighbors in the complex. And then again, I got a little bit more brave. And then I started going around the block. And I'd
You had a business card, or were you just knocking on the door?
I just knocking on door. It was different times back then. You could knock on people's doors and it'd be fine. It was kids putting lemonade stands or whatever. I was washing cars.
Yeah.
So I'd go around the block, and I had some neighbors who were it was consistent, weekly or bi-weekly. It's funny, right? Who would have known? That's how far back it went. But I was 7 years old. That's how I got my first bike. It was a GT dyno. That was a big deal back then.
Yeah.
And then I remember seeing Nintendo 64 came out, and I was I want one. So same thing, dude, just washing cars. Dang. And then I remember, dude, the commercial when they did a price drop on the Nintendo 64. I can't remember the price drop, but I want to say it was $199 or something. And I already had that. So I remember seeing the commercial that the Nintendo money. 64 dropped.
Yeah.
And I was like, Mom, I have the money. Can you take me to Kmart? It was I was like, can you take it to the store?
For all you young kids, Kmart used to be the old Target.
Yeah. Yeah. So I remember when the price dropped, I already had that. So I told my mom, can you take me to the store? Like, I have the money for the Nintendo 64, and that's how I bought my Nintendo 64. But yeah, I've been washing cars since I was like 7. Professional, like business-wise, 13 years. And it all started because I had been doing 2 full-time jobs for like the longest.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just kind of like, what am I doing with my life? What do I want to do? I know I don't want to work 2 full-time jobs forever.
Yeah.
And it's like, what do I like? And I remember asking you, like, dude, you're like, cars. It's got to be something with cars. I was always that kid that I was either washing my friends' cars or installing LEDs in my friends' cars or installing intakes in my friends' cars. So it was always car related. Yeah. And I remember you're like, dude, it's got to be something with cars.
But I don't remember that. But yeah, I mean, yeah.
I remember asking you, like, dude, I don't know. Like, what do I do with my life? Like, some people went to to college after high school. Like, I just worked. But I just didn't know what I wanted to get into. And then I remember asking you and like another buddy. I remember actually I had already had my truck and it was always like clean, right? Like everyone knew like Mario's Black Silverado was always like immaculate.
For sure.
I was washing that thing like every week.
It was a little cleaner than my red Honda Civic.
And then I remember one time I actually had a buddy who was already washing cars, like he was doing mobile.
Oh, okay.
And I was at one of my jobs and I reached out and I was like, hey, dude, can you come wash my truck? And he went, he washed it, and I was just asking questions. And then maybe a month after that, like, I was like, I think I'm going to do mobile detailing or car washes.
Yeah.
And that's how I started and slowly got the ball rolling with detailing and started part-time. Eventually, I ended up quitting one job. And I had one full-time job, and then I would detail after that. And then after that, I remember my full-time job became my part-time job. And then after my part-time job, I would detail. So like I never like transitioned and went all in. It went from 2 full-time jobs to 1 full-time job of detailing. And then it went from 1 full-time job in detailing to a part-time job in detailing because like the demand was there.
Yeah.
And then eventually I just went all in. And it went to like full-time detailing.
So how many years what do you think, what was the span of that did it take?
Man, like not even like probably like 2.
2 years?
Yeah, probably like 2.
Trying to like go from starting 818 part-time, right, trying it out, and to it being your full
time. Like honestly, like 3 tops to like where it was 100% full-time. And
what year was that? Do you remember what year that was?
I don't. I'm terrible with remembering dates. I wish I was better at it because there's like people ask my story and it's like I can't remember dates. Because
I know it was pre-COVID, right?
It was
13 years, so yeah, it had to be a long time ago.
Way pre-COVID.
Man, yeah, because I have pictures of you like cleaning my Matrix.
Yeah,
a long time ago.
Yeah, I think I started in. I always say we, and I learned that from you. Don't make it seem like it's yourself. It's like, I think it was 15 or 16.
Oh, okay.
When I went like Instagram and everything and started posting pictures and
for sure
made it a business.
And I remember this is me maybe trying to take some credit. So I'll take ownership of that. Like you're just saying that, Matt, because you want to be part of it. Like I kind of was, but I remember like honestly it's so crazy because same with you. I tried to remember years, I try to remember dates and like not like And when things stand out, they just stand out. So I like literally have the memory. We were playing basketball at David Gonzalez Park. Yes. We had just finished. Like you would come through and I would try to play there during like lunch, and you would come through every once in a while. And you were kind of like trying out the detailing thing, but you weren't 100% sure yet.
Yeah.
And I just remember one conversation. I don't know if we were playing at night. I don't think we were. I think we were playing in the daytime. And like we were out there in front of my car. And I don't know how the conversation got there, but I'm like, dude, so how much are you making at this job? And you tell me that much. How much you make an hour? Okay. How much do you think you can make an hour detailing? Right. Yeah. And then you would tell me, and I'm like, so then I kind of just did some quick little math, easy math. And I'm like, dude, you can be making double. Like, I remember when I pointed that out for you, it just seemed like, not that I was like, if it wasn't for Matt, no,
not at all. No, honestly, you can take all the credit you want because you've been a lot of help in this journey, and like straight up from the beginning. I remember you were like the first, like, I remember I was going to quit my job and start detailing, and you're like, dude, you can start with my car. And you were the very first car on my Instagram page that I detailed. And it's funny because it took 2 days just because of the timing. Like I did the interior at your old job. by the library. I did the interior there, and then like it was 5 o'clock and it got dark or something, and we didn't finish. Like or either that or your car was that dirty that it took forever. So I had to. And then I remember I didn't get to do the outside that day. I ended up doing the outside here at your house like a day later. So it wasn't very structured in the beginning, but thanks for the help.
So for listeners, like honestly, I could already hear like I don't know why I just hear Esteban. It was very jokingly way like yeah sure Matt, like you're full of it. But no, really, I only mentioned that one. Sure, I'll take some credit if you want to give me. But the other thing is that I'm learning for myself, right? Like how important it is to have people that believe in you. How important to have people that can talk you through these ideas, right? Yeah. Because even for me with this podcast, like I was sharing last night with one of my friends, Chelsea, like, so I quit my job. They knew this. They knew I had the podcast idea. And then it was like the day or day after I quit my job, in the mail, I get 2 books on how to start a podcast.
Nice.
So it's like I'm just pointing out, like when it's people on this journey, like look for people, hang on to the people that are building you up, you know, that can just help you to maybe see something different or just see something in you. Yeah. And just,
And it's always good to have those genuine people who put a little bit more thought into it, because you'll have people saying like, yeah, you got this, but you don't always want to hear like, yeah, you got this. You want somebody to give you more like of a, hey, like with a little bit more structure, like it helps, right?
Right.
It's like
not just a cheerleader.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm not big on cheerleaders. That's just me though. It just doesn't work.
Right.
It doesn't work. Like, cause I'm like, you're just telling me that cause you're telling me that cause you're my friend and I appreciate it. But I want somebody to be more like upfront with me, like straight up, like, hey, yeah, you can do this, or like, just give me more structure. That's just me though. That's just how I work. Maybe because I'm so hard on myself or whatever. But yeah, no, dude, honestly, like you can take all the credit you want. Cause when it comes to 818, I feel like anytime I've done like a step to grow, it's always been every time it's like a new adventure. Like I would run it by my mom. I'm an only child.
Yeah, I know.
So I'd run it by my mom.
I feel bad for this one, kind of.
No, so I run it by my mom, and then my mom would be like, "Have you talked to Matt? Talk to Matt. Have you asked Matt? Like, what does Matt think?" And it's always been like my mom and Matt. Like,
she thinks too highly of me.
No, it's fine. Yeah, and she always says it. She's like, "You guys aren't friends. You guys are brothers, right?" But no, yeah, you can take all the credit you want. And honestly, like anytime I've done a move, it's like, "Hey man, I got offered this job. Like, what do you think?" And you're like, "Bam!" Like I run it by my mom, and I run it by Matt. Yeah, like, it was funny. Like. So you've been a lot of help throughout this journey.
I appreciate it, and I just want to say, like, if it was just me, it wouldn't be what it is, though. I want to say that 818,000. This guy really is. There's certain scenes. This guy is just too popular. Like I don't even like. You just why am I gonna go with you? I'm not gonna be able to talk to you. Everyone wants to talk to you. It's like, oh look, there's 818, or you just. I know you get DMs. People are hitting you up, like. I know for sure but it just shows the hard work. It shows how you are like so skilled, like a master at it. Like when I say Picasso, I really mean that in the whole sense of like a master. Because you do have paintbrush. Like they seem like paintbrushes. I know they're not. I know they have probably a different name.
Yeah.
But to the extent that you detail and feel proud of it, and I would say that to the extent of where even if your client doesn't show you the appreciation, you feel good about it.
Yeah.
Because some people, and I'm not judging, I'm just saying, like some people they need that affirmation, and that's okay. We all have our different love languages. I've noticed with you already take pride in your work. One, because you know you're doing a good job.
Yeah.
And you just like can see it, but obviously it's great when the client can tell you because it builds you up more.
Yeah.
So yeah, you've built a great brand. You've put in so much hard work. It's been like 100% you, dude.
Thank you.
You know, someone has to go through with the work, and you totally have. I don't know if you want to fast forward, or you want to touch COVID at all, or do you want to touch like the transition from when your business did, you know, like transition into a full-time job? Well, I mean. And I just know because I know your story. Or is there anything you want to touch on?
I mean, honestly, when it comes to just going full time, like I said, it went from obviously all the jobs that I had, and then I got tired of my part time job. I was just kind of over it, And I was like, I could, like you said, I did the numbers, and it's like I could make so much money if I was just detailing full time, because the demand was there. Like people are like, hey, do you have availability? And I'm just like, sorry, I'm not available till after 1 o'clock.
A lot of people heard that.
Dude, and that's probably my worst. Like when it comes to like, if some of your listeners or followers would be like, hey, I've reached out to that guy. It was never has availability. Yeah. He never has time, but like the demand's been there.
Yeah.
And I remember I had the part-time, and then I was detailing, and I was just like, I could be making more money. I could be happier. I'm tired of I was just tired of my job. So then I went all in, and, it was just, I did the numbers. And then, COVID was, my son was born during COVID. Mm-hmm. So it was like that was like a life-changing experience. Like the minute I found out I was going to be a dad, like it was game on, dude.
Yeah.
You got responsibilities.
You got responsibilities.
Yeah. So then JD, my son, was born during COVID, and obviously everyone lived in fear with like, you're not supposed to shake hands. You're not supposed to just wear a mask, wear gloves. And the detailers and in the detailing industry, there was a lot of people who stopped working because they were afraid of like getting sick. I mean, like, I think a lot of us just lived in fear for that moment, right? We didn't know what was going on. It's just pandemic. The world's shutting down.
I need more toilet paper.
Yeah. So, but my kid was born at the time.
Yeah.
So I was just like, I got
more fear.
I got to step it up. Like, but then like, how do you find that balance of like, you're not supposed to go outside. You're not supposed to go outside. You're not supposed to interact with people. You're not supposed to clean people's cars because they're sick.
But it's your livelihood.
But you have a newborn at home who you need to provide for, but yet you don't want to risk going outside and bringing that in. Bro, it was a lot. And I remember like talking to my girl, and it's like, hey, what do I do? Like, a lot of detailers aren't working. People are reaching out, and like a lot of the ones that did work, they had their best year ever, because there were so many that didn't.
Demand was high.
Yeah, the demand was, because people that was the thing, right? Clean and sanitize your car. Clean and sanitize everything.
Right.
So I remember there was guys out there in like suits, bro. Like, because we didn't know what was going on.
Yeah.
Like, gloves and suits and masks, and they were detailing like that. And then the detailing industry, they started releasing more like sanitizing friendly products for interiors of vehicles and stuff like that. So I talked to my girl, and she was like, hey, if you got to go to work. But like, I would go to work. Gloves, long sleeves, masks, and then I would change outside of the house. Yeah, leave that clothes outside, and then come inside straight to the shower, and then get, because I didn't want to get my kids sick. I didn't want to get my family sick. But yeah, COVID for me was like my busiest year. Yeah, because I was one of the few detailers out there working, and I loved it because the freeways are empty, bro. I could get to you in like 10 minutes.
Yeah, your range went a little further.
Yeah, because like I was able to get anywhere on the 405 within like 10-15 minutes instead of like hours.
So it's kind of like a blessing in that like kind of curse, like, and I think a lot of people have.
It was just balance, right? To me, it was balance. Like we don't know what's gonna happen, but the bills are there, and like I had to provide, and so it was just kind of like we had to get it taken care of. So it's you kind of do what you got to do. But yeah, I mean, and I talked it out with my girl, and she was like, "It's fine." Like I said, then I would go home, change outside, and go home, shower, and then put the clothes outside. And I couldn't touch or kiss my kid till I showered and washed up, and then it was like, "All right, let's do this." Freaking hand sanitizer everywhere in the house.
I mean, it's always so interesting to hear everyone's different take on the pandemic, right?
Yeah.
Because obviously it was scary. I don't think anyone can deny that there was some form, whether you thought it was real or whatever. Right. Just even with seeing how people were moving, there was everyone felt some kind of change and fear. So it's just always interesting to see like how. But you always hear like how there was some positive to it, right? But there was also like some stress and some fear.
And it's funny, dude, because I remember like before it was a pandemic, like a couple months before it was a thing, I got sick, and I didn't leave my house for 2 days. And I remember like my detailing buddies and like the local detail store were like, "Hey, where's Mario?" And then they're like, "Oh, he's sick." And then he's like, "He's sick." Like Mario's never been sick, or Mario's never been out. Like, what do you mean he's sick? He's like, "Yeah, he's sick. He's been in home for 2 days." and like, dude, I remember I had chills, the fever, like I had a cough, like it was crazy, right? So
You had OG COVID.
so I had COVID before it was cool. Yeah, like yeah. So I always say that, like, bro, I had it before it was cool. Dude. Like, it's not a big deal. I already had it. But yeah, like, but I didn't know, right? To me, I thought it was just a cold or whatever. But yeah, it knocked me down for like a couple of days, and it was funny to hear my detailing buddies and even like the local detail store be like, it must be really bad for Mar to be out a couple of days because he's never out. Like, so to me, as you know, like the whole COVID situation is like, it's this, it's that. Like I already had it.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
and you were kind of like pre-vaccinated.
Yeah, so it was one of those things where like, oh, if you had it already, you can't get it again, or because right, like that's what they were saying or whatever. Yeah. So it's like, oh, I'm immune to it, so I can go out on the field and work because I already had it.
Yeah,
so it almost a slight sense of comfort.
Took a little bit of fear off. Yeah,
because like, I can't get sick again. I already had it.
Yeah, that works out.
So it helped.
So moving from there, because I know that's like 2020. JD's born. We'll come back to that. I want to put a point there of like how that changed your life and everything.
Time. Yeah.
But do you want to go there, or do you want to continue your 818 story?
Whatever works.
It's up to you. Wherever you feel your mind going, because I see both. Right. I could see.
Yeah. No. You tell me what you want to do, man. Either works, because they all connect.
Yeah, that's true. So let's pick up that part of it, and we'll continue with both. Then we'll try to take them both together. Then so, JD's born.
Yes.
He's your first kid.
Yes.
Brenda is your first baby mama.
Yes.
As far as we know.
No. Yeah. One and only.
Yeah, you kind of touched on that. Like, and because for me too, like I know when Mia was born, I probably wasn't the most responsible with. I probably spent too much on video games and going out. Sandra actually, much props to her, had the down payment for our house.
Right.
I had like nothing. She paid for like some of my college tuitions. I was not a good steward of money. Right. And I think I'm a little better, but for sure having a kid, something just changed. And it's like, sometimes it's for me, it was like almost subconscious. Like I didn't even like have to like get up early and try harder. It was like just instinctive.
Yeah.
The world, like everything just got more real.
It depends on the person.
How did it affect you?
It just for some people it clicks, and some people it just doesn't. It doesn't change anything or doesn't mean anything. But there's some people it just clicks.
Yeah,
like people are like, oh, I'm trying to get ready to be a dad. Like honestly, dude, I don't know if you can get ready. Yeah, like, or you can try to get ready as long as you want.
You can.
But sometimes it just clicks. Like when I found out, dude, it was just like. It was instant.
Yeah.
Like I was like, oh man, this is real life. Like it's happening. And just from day one that like, Brenda took the test and it was positive, and that just changed my mindset, like off the bat. And then seeing him be born and holding him for the first time, like let's go. It was definitely like it just clicked.
Yeah.
It was I was the type of person who like holding a newborn baby that wasn't mine, like I was scared. Like I would hold him like this, like I don't know how to hold him, and like I'd hold him for a little bit because I like babies, I like kids, but here you go, dude, take your kid back. But then when JD was born and the nurse was like, here you go, like it just felt right. It just like I wasn't afraid anymore. I don't know why. It's just weird.
You take me on another topic, but were you the type of dad that like you were close to your baby right when he was born? Or did it take you some time? I don't know if you know my stance on this.
No, I was close to JD the minute he was born.
So for me, like my kids, maybe Mia was different.
Yeah,
they're just aliens to me, and it's like it's an emotional connection. I think for me, like the lack of an emotional connection because they can't. And this is maybe selfish. Maybe I need to. I don't know. Talk to my therapist about this. but like for me, it takes until they smile. Okay. For me, once they smile, like obviously I care for them. I'm doing it, all the things.
Yeah.
But to really feel that connection, like and skin to skin, I felt a connection with.
It's funny. I never did it, and Brenda told me I had to do it. I didn't do it, and I regret not doing it.
I don't think.
I don't regret doing. I mean, I regret not doing it, but like I'm sure it didn't. Who knows, right? I don't know if it's that big of a deal. They played a factor.
21. But Dad, I never felt your chest on my chest.
But Brenda told me like to do it. I didn't know it was a thing, bro. It's my first kid. I don't know. Right. Quick topic. It's funny. So first kid, and I'm constantly doing mobile and I'm telling my clients like, hey, FYI, like I have a kid on the way, like I might get a phone call, and like I would show up and be like, I might get a phone call and I might have to leave. You never know, right? And be like, oh no, it's fine, dude. My clients, like, they become my friends. Like, the relationship with them has been like great. They're super understanding everything. And I remember one of them, she's an actual nurse, and then she's like, are you ready? Like, have you read a book? And I was like, I've looked up articles. Like, I don't read books, but I'll look up articles on like internet. And then she's like, have you been warned about the black poops? And I was like, no. And it's like, oh, just so you know, don't be scared. The first poops are black. Like, I didn't know that.
That's actually good.
And she told me that. She's like, people don't tell anybody this.
And then
but she
out.
was a nurse, right? Like, so she's like, just so you know, this and that. So I was like, are you serious? And she's like, yeah. And so I went home and I was like, man, did you know that? And she's like, yeah. And I was like, how come you didn't tell me these things? Like, it would be helpful, you know? And I remember like JD being born and like having to change diapers like in the hospital. And it's like, I wasn't caught off guard. So that was so helpful to me. Like,
it's the black gold.
Yeah, dude, it was just, and I know it's like off topic, but it was just, it connects to A1A and my clients, the type of clients that I had. And then just them giving me tips like,
right.
Like, hey, you know, I know your kid's on the way. It's your first one. Like, here's a tip that nobody tells you.
No, for sure. I think there's so many of those. There's just little details that I think parents sometimes take for granted, and then we don't share with other people, and then they'll freak out. Yeah. And you can save somebody a freak out if you just know that, right? I think Nestor and Sophia, you know, they had a kid, Psalm. Yeah.
No, they had a kid.
And I know they had a kid, but I'm just saying, I think it happens to them too. I don't think they were expecting the black poop.
Oh, nobody
and they asked
them.
us.
Yeah.
I think that's what happened. Maybe I'll be wrong. I think he has Sandra, but just an example.
Hey, is this normal?
Yeah.
Yeah, because obviously it's your first kid, right? You would worry. Yeah.
For sure. We don't have to go all the way into my first episode.
Any of the listeners or watchers, if you
the black poop. When you have a kid, all the way.
When you have your first kid, the first set of poops are black.
Yeah. The black poop is coming. So you mentioned how you know, it kind of just clicked for you. Mm-hmm. Let's go. So we could split it up a little bit. So like, how was it then? How was it then? Like balancing, right? Because obviously, you start the company. It's your baby, right? And you get to put everything to it. You're doing the social media. You're doing taking the calls. You're using your Palm Pilot for calendars.
100% of the time.
So yeah. And when I say Palm Pilot, I mean like no electronic device.
I just fake write it. And I'm like, yeah, man, I got you on the schedule.
Miss a couple clients.
I got you on the schedule, man.
But no, so like, you know, I think that's a good example of like, so because literally that's what you would do because you had enough mental space. Yeah. Right. But now you have Brenda. Yeah. You're like living together. You have JD. Yeah. There's more on your plate now. So like, I'm curious to hear like if you could remember how that shift.
Yeah. So the shift, it wasn't. The shift for me, as far as remembering clients and appointments, wasn't necessarily like my responsibilities as like with JD or Brenda. Yeah. It was just the demand of the amount of work. Mm-hmm. So, because there were so many clients now. Yeah. And like remembering, who did I schedule? So, like I was able to like have my family, and then just like the workload, it was separate for some reason, like as far as scheduling. Back then, now, as the older you get, bro, it's terrible. Like I constantly ask Brenda, like,
it's only like 3 years ago.
Nah, dude.
Well, go ahead.
Nah, like everything goes downhill after 37. Mm-hmm. Now it's like I'm constantly Brenda. It's like I'll ask her 4 times in the same week. Like, what are we doing again this Saturday? Yeah. What are we doing again this Saturday? She's like, seriously, and like she made me download an app. And even then, I won't check the app, and I'll just ask because it's faster, right? But.
I think you need an AI assistant, like a really smart one before a lot of us. Yeah.
So like I was able to keep them separate. But for me, as far as I would still do the Palm Pilot, but I would screenshot. Because to me, it was forgetting what client it was. I knew I had a client.
Screenshot what?
Like the scheduled appointment. Because a lot of the stuff, it was either like text or.
Got it. So
or like direct message. The DM or so like if you hit me on my DM and be like, hey, you know, when you're available, and we would lock it in, I would screenshot it. Because I knew I had an appointment, but I couldn't remember who. So instead of going through all the messages, I would just go to my recent pictures and I'd be like, oh, okay, it's such person at this time. And then that's how I would remember.
I mean, it doesn't have to be the way everyone else does it.
Yeah. Right? It's just how I remember.
As long as it works for
you. And then eventually, like, people say smartphones, but the smarter the phone gets, the dumber I feel. So, like, hey, dude, did you know that you can do notes on your phone? Like, dude, that's been around forever. You've always made fun of me for that. I like technology, but I've never like grown with technology. I'm always like a couple years late. Like, I remember like you would get mad at me because it'd be like, hey, let's go do this. All right, cool, but I gotta go pay my phone bill real quick. We gotta stop by Best Buy and pay my bill, or we gotta go over. It's like, why are you going? And I was like, 'cause that's just how I do things, bro. Like, and you're like, there's an app for that. You can do it online. And I was like, nah, dude, I don't feel comfortable. I gotta go and pay cash physically or whatever. Like, so I've always been a couple years late on technology.
You know, I'm gonna grab that. I'm gonna grab that real quick, and I'm gonna continue the theme of like anyone who's like to pay attention to yourself and pay attention to like your strengths. And it's important, I think, to do this. And there's tests you can to do it right and things that can help you out. I say that because I remember a part of it though is even plays into your profession. Is that when you would go to Verizon and pay your bill in person, like you would talk to these people.
Yeah.
You would like, they see you like, oh, what's up, Mario? Yeah. Or even if they didn't know you, they just knew your face and it was familiar. And like, hey, how's it going? And you would just have a whole chat and it's like paying your bill.
Yeah.
So I think also it was like something you liked to do.
Maybe, right?
Yeah. And you were good at it. Maybe and the same with connecting with customers.
Maybe it's because I'm an only child, dude. There's something back there that like,
no,
I have someone to talk to.
Yeah, you may have gone deeper than I was going, but
just saying.
I was just saying, yeah, both could be true. I just think it was like a part of your skill set that maybe just we didn't realize. But
it's funny because people say that like, because I guess I do both sometimes.
Yeah.
And I know like our friend Kenya, she's always like, dude, you're such an introvert. And it's like I kind of pick and choose, or it's just probably where I feel comfortable or not. Like I can be very like, hey, what's up, dude? Where are you? And then there's days where I'm like, nah, I'm like, dude, what? And Kenny always like, you're such an introvert. You're so weird. But then there's days of like, it's just super loud and friendly and stuff. And it's like, where did that come from? I don't know, dude. It just happens sometimes.
I guess usually I get the second part. I mean, I know obviously we've been around each other enough. I remember even when our friendship was growing, maybe I was too extrovert or just too so intrusive, but I would just be like, hey, Mario, I'm going over.
Yeah, and I didn't know how to, I was like, okay. I wasn't used to that. Yeah. You know, it's just like,
I just show up and, but I wouldn't.
And I think that's what helps. Like with our friendship, dude, like it's been so helpful because you've like helped me come out of my shell. Because I almost feel like maybe because I wasn't only a child and like I was kind of sheltered a little bit. Or a lot, who knows? But you always helped with like being more outgoing. And it's funny because we had this conversation recently where you're like, you struggle with like being a little bit of like confident.
Yeah. I struggle with confidence.
We were with Stevan and I was like, bro, I would never guess.
No, yeah.
Because you're so like out there and you're like, yeah, it's because I forced myself to be out there. It's like, dude, I would have never guessed if you would have told me that. And I was like, what? You're lying right now. But yeah, you've definitely helped me come out. Like I remember, dude, it's so funny. Like even when you asked me to come on here, like just flashbacks and like just memories. And I remember like when we were in high school and like going to my first high school party, it was because you were like, dude, just ask. And I was like, nah, my dad's gonna say no. And you're like, you won't know unless you ask. Like, nah, dude, he's gonna say no. And they're like, just ask. The worst thing that can happen, he says no. And I remember like, hey dad, you know, there's this party and like, who's going? And it's like, oh, you know, Matt, Julio, Juan. And it's like, yeah, it's fine. And I was like, dude, he said yes. And it's like, I told you, just ask.
Is
like,
this real life?
Yeah, but like to this day, like it's part of my mentality. Like, just ask. And it goes back to you. Like that's what I'm saying.
I don't take my own. I don't like take.
You can take all the credit you want, dude. Because to this day, like I was just like, just ask. Worst thing that happens is they say no, but you asked. And then obviously as you get older and wiser, you don't ask, you kind of hiddenly tell. And that also helps because it's like, wait, are you asking me or are you telling me? Kind of telling you while making it seem like I'm asking.
Don't become a grumpy old man, Mario.
Dude, my mom's always said it. Like, I'm going to be that guy. Like, hey, you punks, get off my lawn, dude. I'm going to be that guy.
No, dude, you're going to be leaving pan dulce for the kids outside. Nice to see you guys again. Yeah, you left a spot on my car.
Yeah. No, never that.
Yeah, we kind of jumped around a bit.
A lot. Sorry.
No. I know where we are. It's easier for me when I'm talking to somebody. When I'm by myself, trying to do all that is not so easy.
Yeah.
But okay, so JD's getting older, and your business, and I know I can't remember exactly. I remember, right? So Kenneth, right? Your previous boss.
Mm-hmm.
I remember him being here, and maybe I'm remembering incorrectly, but like you were detailing I think my car here.
Yes.
He lives in this community.
Mm-hmm.
He saw you, kind of made that connection. He works for Vivian.
Yes.
And is that a like? But you were already talking to him. That's right. He knew you.
So
he didn't really know you personally, but he knew of you.
Right.
And so when
because
he saw you in person,
because of his wife. Yeah. So Kenny is like this big time detailer from like the West Coast, right?
Yeah.
And he's worked with a lot of big brands. So Kenneth becomes the manager for detail at Rivian.
Yeah.
But his wife was the one that...
If you don't know Rivian...
the electric trucks.
Yeah, you probably do. We live in California, Los Angeles, a lot of them. It's an electric truck company,
Yes.
Somewhat of a rival to Tesla. They only have 2 models, but still fairly new, but you'll see them around. So it's an electric car company.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember here was this lady who would like message me and be like, "Oh, great work. Like, man, your work." And it's like, my husband details too. And it's like, "Oh, nice. Congrats." Like, you know, it's super friendly. And then... the story that Kenneth tells me is like his wife was like, "You need to follow this guy. He's because Kenneth takes a lot of pride in what he does.
You need to follow Picasso."
And then she's like, "You need to follow this guy. Like he's really good. He's very talented. Blah blah blah." And he's like, "I ain't following no detailer from Pacoima." Like that's just the type of person that Kenneth is.
Why is it? Because he saw my posts from Pacoima?
I don't know.
You're not even from
he's
Pacoima.
like, yeah, exactly. So I tell him all the time, it's like, "I'm not from Pacoima. I'm from San Fernando." I was like, "It's different, you know."
It is.
Yeah. So. But Kenny doesn't distinguish areas here because he's from the East Coast, like Virginia. So he's like, everything's the same to me. He's like, everything's Pacoima.
Sure.
He'd be in West Hills and be like, it's Pacoima because he lives in Pacoima, right? So,
that's true. He lives here, but whatever.
Yeah. So then he's like, I'm not following no detail from Pacoima. Like all these dudes are whack.
Yeah.
Right. They're just a bunch of car wash guys. Again, mind you, this dude's worked for like a lot of big brands and like very like one-off vehicles kind of deal. And then he starts following me. He starts drilling me with tons of questions that like they're not common in the detailing industry. It's just like, why is this guy asking so many questions? So he starts following me, start building relationships with social media. And then, I was detailing your car here and I posted up on my Instagram that I was detailing here. And then here comes Kenneth and he just walks up to me and I was like, "Hey, you're the guy from Instagram." And he's like, "Yeah, I live here. I recognize the area." And he pulled up and...
It's crazy to recognize you because you never post your face.
I think at that point...
Or did you have a logo out or something?
No, at that point I had already gotten comfortable with like jumping on like...
Oh yeah, that's right. No, you were already doing the
Rise and Shine, Rise and Grind.
Rise and Grind. Yeah, right.
That took...
that could take us further up, but go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
That took forever, but... So at that point, people had put a face to the brand and the company, which I thought it was funny because when I first did that, they're like, "You're A1A? Like, that's you?" And it's like, I didn't know what you were expecting, but yeah, it's like... So then Kenneth pulls up, and he's already at Rivian, and he's just kind of like starts pitching this thing, like, "Yeah, you know, we have openings, blah, blah." I was like, "Hey, let me know if you guys are hiring, you know?" And he's like, "I'll keep you posted." He goes, "We don't have anything available, like, at your skill level," is what he said, and I appreciate that. But he's like, "I'll keep you posted." And JD was already born. And then also, I was doing detailing. I met Kenneth in person. He's the director of detail at Rivian. And then the opportunity for a shop comes up as well. Mm-hmm. And all this is while JD's like a year old.
Yeah.
The opportunity to
have your own shop.
Yeah.
So like do your own detailing in like a bigger space. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So when it comes to detailing, there's some projects you need a more like controlled environment, or it's just nice to have. Like you don't have to be outdoor in the elements, whether it's the sun or the heat or
dust.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the opportunity came up. Talked to Brenda. "Hey, what do you think?" She's like, "Go for it." Brenda's been like 100% supportive.
She's awesome.
All the time.
Yeah, I love Brenda.
Like there's been times that she'd be like, "Yeah, you know, like I worry, but I got your back."
Yeah.
I talked to Brenda. Obviously, I had to talk to Brenda because it was a big responsibility. There was overhead now, and that meant that I had to work that much more because I have overhead now. With mobile detailing, it's just my van. I pay my gas, I pay my insurance, I pay my van, and that's it. With overhead, I got rent, power, all that stuff, right? And we have a newborn. So I talked to Brenda, and it's like, what do you think? She's like, I got your back. She's like, go for it. So then I opened up a shop with my friend Chino. We partnered up. We did that. And I was there like, I think it was like maybe 5 months or so at the shop with demolition and construction. And I got a couple jobs in there. And that was also it wasn't a challenge, but I mean, with the shop and the responsibility and the amount of work.
Yeah, you were working late, I remember.
Yes, I would work late, but I was always home for giving JD a bath and having dinner.
Yeah.
So I remember like doing mobile and shop, and then at a certain time, be like, I got to go. And I would go home, and whether it be like spend time with JD, give him a bath, have dinner together. Like I was always home for that.
Yeah.
And then I remember like JD would go to sleep. Brenda, I'd spend some time with Brenda, and then it's like, okay, like you guys rest up. I'm going to go back to the shop. Luckily, the shop was like 10 minutes away.
Yeah.
So I remember going home for dinner, spending time with the family, and then once they were down, I would head back to the shop. Because I had a car at the shop, or I wanted to get it done, or I wanted to advance and I need to get this done so I can get another one in, or tomorrow I have mobile, so I have to, right? So that was, to me, it was pretty cool because I made the effort to be home.
Yeah.
So I would do that.
Yeah, you were intentional with your time.
Yes.
I've noticed, like, from me, and obviously I've known you, but you try to make sure that you at least have some balance, even if it isn't as balanced, right, as like somebody may say that it should be. Yeah. You try to at least make sure you have some time there, right? Instead of putting, because like I know for me,
some people clock out at 6 and they're done.
Well, not just that, but just like for me, sometimes I can just be like, let me just get this done, and then let me just get this done turns into like 2 a.m. I didn't see my family for showers, for dinners, because I just wanted to get something done. And then like I do that too many times. I don't see my family for like a week, right? I feel like for you, you try to be more like cognizant, more aware of like, no, I need to like at least cut out these moments. I'll work hard, I'll work at night, but like I need to. So you do a really good job at that.
I tried. I tried. Dude, when I was single, I'd be working till 2 or 3 in the morning. Yeah. Whether it's like still working late or working at a shop, or it was just like getting ready for the next day, or even like washing towels. I remember washing towels, like that was always late at night because then the laundromat was empty then. So I'd like go wash towels at like midnight, and I always washed my towels very well. So I was there till 2, 3 in the morning and whatever. But I was single, so it didn't matter how long I worked or how many hours I put into a day. But then obviously now with JD and Brenda, it was different. And I wanted to change and break the mold, like of the tradition or like household, Mexican, Hispanic household, whatever, where like my dad wasn't around for dinner. Like he was working late, or like I'm too tired to play, all that stuff, right? Yeah. So I wanted to break that because I grew up with that. And I like talking to Brenda, she grew up like that. Well, my dad always worked or he wasn't around, and I wanted to be around. So yeah, I mean, and I don't sleep. For those of you, I don't sleep. To this day,
I was thinking about that. I was like, we could go down the insomnia route.
I don't sleep. I don't go to bed till like 2:30, 3 in the morning. I don't know how.
But you always have that day where you crash.
Yeah, that one day where I just knock out. But I don't sleep much.
But and Soft Spot, you could share as little or as much as you want on the topic you were touching, because I know it is a sensitive one. But like that idea of kind of seeing your experience, right, and knowing like, you know, parents did the best they can, but just knowing how you maybe would do it different, and instead of justifying saying my parents did it like this, right? Yeah, you're kind of saying I kind of saw the way that was, but I see how I can improve it, or I can see how I can like maybe not do that, or add something to it, instead of just taking the status quo and saying, nope, this is how Mexicans do it. This is how my dad did it. And so you need to deal with it.
No, I didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
I didn't want to do that. And it goes with just, I don't know what made my mentality change. I think it's just reading or just seeing things. Like I didn't want to do that. And again, it just clicks, right? Like JD was here, so something just clicked inside maybe. And I was like, you're my main priority, whatever, right? So something clicked, whether it was, or I read something that was just like, I want to break that mold. Like, I didn't want to do that. Or maybe I just remember like my dad not being there for dinner or whatever. And I was like, well, I want to be there for my kid. Like, I wish my dad was there, so I want to be there. So I think that's what helped.
For sure. So we're getting to the point where, so you were saying Kenneth hitting you up about Rivian. What was going on with 818, and what was going on, and like when you were getting this proposal? I somewhat remember. I couldn't tell it.
So
but I know you do.
Again, 818, we were building the shop, and that's when, again, going home for dinner, coming back 10:30 p.m. to continue to work at the shop. And there was that balance. And the shop was growing. We were still doing construction, but I was getting work in there. And I think I was 5 months into the shop, and then Kenneth reached out, and then he's like, "Hey, there's this opportunity here at Rivian to be part of like the development team, or just like taking you regionals, like regions. There was going to be a West Coast, Central, and East Coast, and he needed managers for that. And that meant like a lot of training, doing training for new detailers coming in, setting up new locations. Obviously, they're growing, so going there and setting everything up, the wash bay, the detailing area, pressure washers, all the equipment. Yeah. So he reached out and he's like, "Hey, there's this opportunity. I'd like to, like see if you're interested." Obviously, when I asked him if you're hiring, they were only hiring for detailers. Right. And he was like, "Nah, man." He's like, your skill level is more than that. But when it came down to regionals, he was like, I need you on my team. So again, I talked to Brenda. "Hey, there's this opportunity. What do you think?" She's like, "What do you think? You just opened up the shop. You've been there for 5 months." And I'm like, I don't know. It sounds like a good opportunity. It's a new company. Because when I got hired, Rivian wasn't public yet.
They hadn't released any trucks yet. That's right.
No, they were announced, but it wasn't. They hadn't released anything.
They just had the reserve ones. Yeah.
So it was like startup, I guess.
I forgot about that. Yeah, but they just were working on getting vehicles out still.
Right. So they weren't out yet. So it sounded like a really good opportunity. And then there was like the perks, like benefits, insurance, stock, all that stuff, right? I talked to Brenda. She's like, "Man, sounds like a good idea. Like, what do you think?" I was like, "I don't know. I don't know." And then I talked to Chino, which is who I was renting the shop with. And he played a big role. And he's like, I told him, "Hey, Chino, what do you think?" And he's like, "Do it." He goes, "Don't live with the what if." He goes, "Try it out." He goes, "If you don't like it, you have 818.
I'm telling you, man. So
those people, bro.
Yeah. Surrounding yourself around good people and not just forcing a business because, you want to get it started. Like, these people aren't so important. I think God sends you the right people if we're patient sometimes. And we kind of do it with his timing. And for Chino, it's like, because I passed by there and I forgot about that. And so your logo's still up there. I know you've heard about this. And if you drive down Foothill, you'll see that shop and your logo's
San Fernando Road.
Yeah, San Fernando Road. And I passed by and I passed by feeling a little guilty for Chino. Like, man, Mario's logo's there and Mario ditched him. But I forgot that that's not the story.
No, that's not.
The story is that Chino, the person you were going into this shop with, right? He's hoping, I'm sure to some extent, that you're going to help pay rent. That, all these things. And he is the person, because he is who he is. He's a great friend. He's a great partner. And and he's like, "Do it. This is going to be good for you. You have this son, your family." So just again, like just having good people,
and that's how I felt, because I'm like, we just moved into the shop. It's like, and Chino's like a custom fabricator. He's really big in the lowrider scene.
He's amazing. Yeah.
He actually currently has an exhibit at the Peterson Museum. There's like a huge lowrider exhibit there.
Where's that one? Is that one? That's not the one here in Silmar. No,
the Peterson's over in like LA.
Okay.
There's a huge lowrider exhibit. If anyone's interested, it's
I'm sure some people are.
Yeah, we were just there. We just did this weekend, and Chino played a role with that. So he's really big in the industry, and I was more like, bro, we just moved here, like, right, like I don't want to leave him hanging, all that stuff. But I asked Chino, and he's like, "Go for it, try it out." He goes, "Don't live with the what if." And he told me one of his stories. He's like, I had an opportunity once. I stuck with this, and I'm not saying he regrets it, but I guess maybe the what if is there or was there. So he's like, try it out. If you don't like it, you have 818. He goes, the shop's here. Yeah. He goes, or if it doesn't work out with them and they let you go, you have 818. The shop's here. So I was just like, okay, cool. Again, talked to my mom. My mom tells me, have you talked to Matt?
Back to this.
Yeah, mom came like, I'm coming to you for more than just have you talked to Matt, you know? So then I talked to you and you're like, it sounds like a good idea, dude. Like, I've heard of Rivian, right? So then again, just best interest for my family and having a newborn, and detailing is somewhat seasonal. It could be. Obviously, it slows down a little bit during the winter.
Where we live, it could be mostly sunny, but yeah.
Obviously, with the shop, it allows you to do more stuff because you have, again, a more controlled environment.
Yeah.
But, just having the support from all these people, like, try it out.
Mm-hmm.
I took the job. And I remember I took the job. It was a lot of traveling the first 2 months I was there.
That's right. You were on an airplane.
I was everywhere because there's again, the brand wasn't out yet. So it was setting up and like getting everything together.
Yeah.
And it went from like, okay, you're hired, to, hey, you're going to Salt Lake City next week.
Yeah.
And obviously that was, I was informed of that in the beginning, and I had to really straight.
Just so for listeners that might not know. So the reason why, and I'm just sharing this because I didn't know. I'm not saying like, so maybe it's not obvious to somebody else. So the reason why car companies, right, like Rivian especially, have detailers, right? So they're doing, and you could just correct me. So they do a couple of things, right? You're detailing, making sure there's no dents. You're correcting paint right before they go out to a customer. Yeah. And the reason why Mario's traveling is because he's setting up like maybe an exhibit or some kind of like show so they could show new customers like at a mall or something.
That's
it. And then like he'll make sure the car is immaculate. So they need detailers for those things. I didn't know that. I was like, I didn't know that Mario, I knew it was a detail. I didn't know that there was possible positions in big companies like that. So it was all new to me.
Yeah. So a lot of things can happen during transport. So they could be like a small scratch or a small dent. And this is everywhere, not just Rivian.
Right.
This is every brand,
We don't think of those things.
No, of course not, right?
Yeah.
Some damage can happen. So, you have detailers or services who go and fix little things here and there. And it's minor stuff. And that's why like a lot of places have like in-house like detail or wash or whatever. But yeah, it was a lot of traveling. I didn't step foot into the shop for 2 months straight. Like, mind you, 5 months in, I'm traveling everywhere with Rivian. Chino will call me like, how's everything, dude? You good? Everything's good. They have me over here today. Hey, where you at today? Bro, I'm in Texas. He's like, all right, man. Everything good? Yeah. He'd check up on me. And then, like by the second month, he's like, hey, so what's going to happen, dude? Like, where you at? And I was like, sorry, dude. They just, because I thought I would be able to balance it out.
Both of them, both A1A
because
and
technically
Rivian.
My job title was remote.
Right.
So that meant I would get the opportunity to work from home every now and then. And at the shop, like I did have an office at the shop. So there was the work floor and then I had an office. So my mentality was like, when I'm working remote, I'll go work at the shop. I'll take my laptop. I'll have it there if I need to jump on a meeting or if somebody needs to contact me, and I can still detail. So I thought that's what I was going to be able to do. But because everything's kicking off and I'm traveling for 2 months straight, Chino's like, you good? He, again, being very supportive, he's like, I just want to know where you at. And I'm like, dude, like I haven't, and mind you, I was still paying rent for the shop and I was never there. So yeah, once the second month hit, I talked to Chino and I was like, hey bro, I'm not gonna be able to do it. There's no time, there's no balance. And he's like, it's cool. He's like, again, dude, do what you gotta do, bro. He's like, and very supportive. Him and his wife, very supportive. They were both encouraging me to jump on the Rivian thing.
Nice.
So I did do that, and it was a lot of traveling and setting up, and it was a little hard on Brenda, but again, she was very supportive. And I did that for 2 years, I think. Yeah, something like that. 2.5.
So it was like, right, pros and cons to everything. So obviously with 818, you're local more, probably working a little bit longer hours. Yeah. Money's not as I don't know if you're making more or less. You don't have to say that, but just wondering, like, so you were here probably working longer, and with Rivian, obviously more stable income, but traveling more. Yeah. So they both had their different stresses.
Yeah, it was a balance because I was making more with 818, but then I didn't have like some of the perks of like insurance and like stock and stuff like that. So then that kind of balanced out. Yeah. So I did that, and then obviously there was opportunity for growth. And again, like even though the demand was there with detailing, and like there was times where like I wouldn't get it, I would get like one car or whatever, right? Yeah. but over there was consistent work. Mm-hmm. And in my head, I was like, okay, cool. I got a 9 to 5 and then I'm home.
Mm-hmm.
Compared to detailing where I was out later.
Yeah. Did you find, I'm wondering if I should ask this question because I know there's a possibility you went back, but like, I think you did. So I'll ask, like, did you find as much, like purpose and like, was it as fulfilling doing Rivian, right? Being like working for a company versus like working for yourself. You probably interacted with people more with 818. Like, yeah. I don't know if you want to talk about that.
No, yeah. I definitely got like joy and satisfaction. I was enjoying what I was doing. Eventually the travel got old because I was away from my family a lot.
Yeah.
But as far as like what I was doing during travel was amazing because like I did, it was a lot of training and development and like teaching. So I really enjoyed that. And as a regional manager, technically I didn't physically have to do any other work. But because I am who I am and I'm a detailer at heart, I would do the work with the detailer at the service center. Or I would be like, hey, you guys space for more? Or I'd pick up a polisher and start detailing, then, or I'd be in the wash bay, which was like, there's tiers, right? There's like the car wash guys, and then there's a detailer who do like the paint correction. And I'd be in the wash bay. I'm like, what are you doing here? I'm like, well, dude, I get my hands dirty, dude. I'm not just, like, titles mean nothing to me. Like, oh, you're a regional manager. You shouldn't be in here. Like, dude, I enjoyed doing this. So I would actually wash cars and polish or fix dents or scratches or whatever. So I enjoyed all that. And I enjoyed doing trainings. And it's pretty cool to hear.
You got some pretty high-end trainings, though. Like some trainings that cost thousands of dollars, though.
Yeah, Rivian and Kenneth did give me the opportunity for growth with a lot of trainings and certifications.
Trainings that you probably wouldn't have done on your own.
Yeah, there's probably like 2 I wouldn't have done on my own. They're pricey, man. Some of these trainings can be like... So the thing with trainings, it's like they're kind of expensive. And I always remember like the Kanye skit where he's like... the guy that like dies with all the certificates or whatever, like his college degrees, right? Like, because like
I got these degrees, man.
Yeah. So like, because you could go to all these trainings, but if you don't put in the work or if you don't put it into practice, they don't mean anything.
It's true.
And now you just have a certificate on your wall, and it's like, but I'm certified. Yeah, dude. But you haven't done any of this stuff in like months, so you haven't sold a package or a service, so they don't mean anything.
No, it's totally a thing, and I'm terrible with that. I'm like so far I'm too much on the side, I know, of like, I'm just going to get into the work. I don't need to be certified for anything.
Right. And some of them help, don't get me wrong, because I've taken a couple, I've taken a lot. I've taken paid ones, I've taken free ones. I enjoy learning. And
same.
I enjoy learning, and I'll go to like the local detail shop that has a free training, and I'll just go and like hang out with everyone. And I've met a lot of people in the industry. So they're like, what are you doing here? You're going to be here? I was like, bro, I can learn something new.
And just being in the detailing community. Yeah. That's a whole other topic, the detailing community. But so I kind of am hearing, as I listen to your story, like seasons. Yeah. I'm hearing all the different seasons, right? Of when you were making this transition to when like you were growing it and, right. And then now it's grown and you're moving it like stable and you have a family now, right? And then the family now maybe can benefit from having some stability, and that stability, like in Rivian, is almost like a season of like learning and preparing. And now we're getting closer to present day, right? Yeah. Because I never thought about, and I don't know if you think about it that way, like that Rivian, at least the first time, was a really opportunity for learning, for growing. I don't know. Do you see it that way?
Yeah, it was a once in a lifetime opportunity. Like I never thought I was going to work for like a manufacturer, like any brand, right? I never saw that happening. So it was, and not just that, but like for them to, I wasn't looking for a job, right? So for them to reach out and like look for me was like on a different level. Like I wasn't looking for a job. I hadn't applied anywhere. I didn't even know, but they were like, hey dude, there's this opportunity and I think you'd be perfect fit for it. So
do you want to fast forward? Should we fast forward to this year, right?
Yeah. So earlier this year.
So real quick, timeline real quick. So you start with Rivian 2021.
2020.
You were there for almost 2 years, like 2.5 years, right?
Yeah, I was there for like 2.5 years.
No, sorry, 2022 then.
2022.
So all of 22 to 23, and then 23
Yeah.
to 24. Yeah. Okay, so I don't know. Are you comfortable talking
No,
about?
yeah.
Okay.
No, yeah. So 2.5 years at Rivian, a lot of growth, a lot of opportunity, a lot of trainings, built a lot of relationships, and everything was fine. Then Rivian, obviously,
As most companies, small startups.
Yeah. I just said, but I think that's when everybody was doing like massive layoffs.
Yeah.
I think like.
But you would tell me about the purge, like.
We would. I don't know how much I can say, but we called it the purge.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. I would call it. We would call it the purge, right? But a lot of companies, they'll do layoffs, right?
Yeah.
We would call them the purges. It's probably not the best title for it, but
Maybe
whatever.
We'll see later.
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay.
But yeah, so
yeah, there were a startup company. It's very common for smart startup companies, right? When you start, you don't know exactly what you need.
Yeah.
When you need more, sometimes you need more than what you need, and then you kind of start figuring out, and they're building, and they're just growing, and that comes with changes.
Right.
Yeah.
And then earlier this year they did a pretty big layoff. So everyone, again, there was a lot of travel, involved. And it can get expensive. Obviously, like hotels, flights, rentals, food budget. So then earlier this year they did this massive layoff, and basically everyone on the travel team got laid off. It wasn't like a performance thing. It was just like all the remote people that are traveling, and like it's just easier to let them go.
Yeah.
So then I got laid off earlier this year. We get an email on a Wednesday saying there's going to be layoffs tomorrow by this time. If you get a phone call from your manager at this time, he's going to tell you if you're here or gone. And I remember I was with my manager at the time, Kenneth, when we got the email, and he's like, "Oh man." And then he's like, "There's going to be layoffs tomorrow." I was like, "All right, cool." I remember going home, telling Brenda, "Hey, they're doing layoffs tomorrow." She's like, "How do you feel?" Mind you, we've been warned about layoffs in the past, and I've always felt comfortable, like, "Oh, we're fine." But on this one, I was like, I don't know. I was like, I don't know how I feel. I didn't feel anything.
You're just unsure.
Yeah. Usually I'm like, we're fine.
Yeah.
We're going to be okay. But this one, I was like, I don't know. I don't know. So Brendan's like, okay. So then come Thursday, 7:36, I get a phone call from my manager.
What was the cutoff time? So it was like, remember you saying
that? It was like 7 to 9 or 7 to 10 or something.
Okay.
7:36, I get a phone call. And I'm like, "Is this the phone call, sir?" That's literally how he picked up. "Is this the phone call, sir?" And he's like, "Yeah, man, blah, blah."
Dang.
And I was like, "It's cool." And he's like, "Sorry, man." And I go, "It's cool, man. It's not your fault."
Yeah.
It's not your fault. Like, it is what it is. Like, it's a company, whatever,
Yeah.
We're numbers.
There's no guarantees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's fine. But and my boss, Kenneth, felt really, really bad.
I'm sure.
And I was like, "You're good, boss. Don't trip." And till this day, I call him boss.
Yeah.
Right? Call him boss for sure. And he's like, "I'm sorry." And I was like, "It's not your fault, man. It's cool." And again, 7:36, I had the phone call. I got laid off. But with being remote with Rivian, like I was still able to detail here and there. I wasn't always available because I was either traveling or had meetings and stuff, but I was still able to detail.
Don't I know it?
So then I remember I got laid off at 7:36, and I'm telling Kenneth, "It's cool, man. Don't trip. I'm going to be all right." 9 a.m., I already had my first appointment with A18.
This was April of this year.
Yeah. 9 a.m., I had my first appointment ready to go back to A18. So like I was still running A18, but I wasn't always available.
Right.
I did have set accounts that I was there every weekend or whatever, but like I did have a lot of customers who I was like, "Hey man, I'm not available, but reach out to this person and reach out to that person." So yeah, I got laid off 7:36. 9 a.m., I had my first appointment, and I was back on the field with A18. And I think that's where like the whole Chino conversation clicked. Like, if it doesn't work out, you have A18. If it doesn't work out, you have A18. Don't trip. Like the shop's there, or you have mobile. So I never like lived in the fear of like, what if I get laid off?
Yeah, I remember you always mentioning that.
I'm like, what if I go back to A18?
Yeah.
Like I just go full time. Like I'll hit it harder again. Like I have met people, I've built newer relationships, which I learned a lot, and I built a lot of great relationships while I was at Rivian, who till this day, like, there's one brand and one guy, Chris from Dr. Beezy's. I got laid off on Thursday. I got a phone call from him on Friday. Hey, Mario, I just talked to Kenneth. I heard what happened. He's like, just so you know, he goes, you are an authorized detailer for us, so you're on our map. So if people reach out to us, like, we will send them your way. And he goes, your closest authorized detailer is in San Diego. So basically anything that comes to like LA or around you, it's going to you. And I was like, thank you, man. I appreciate that. And I thought that was great, right? Because he didn't have to do that.
Yeah, it's a relationship you built with
Rivian. He didn't have to do that. But it
Yeah.
was cool because he reached out and he's like, I'm sorry what happened. But just so you know, like, you're our guy for like SoCal. And it was like constant like emails and like, hey, I got your info from Chris and Dr. Beezy's, and like getting opportunities to that. So,
Make me feel like it's just different. I get it. Like, what did I do wrong? Because, like, not to take away from your story, but obviously, not too long ago, as I've shared at the beginning, I laid myself off.
Yeah.
And so, what was it? Around this time last year, my company's kind of going through changes. And actually, I was praying, you know, just I knew I needed a change. And I'm praying, like, God, you know, like, I don't know. I don't want to burn any, I'm not trying to burn any bridges, but I just kind of want, I guess, to be a little vulnerable here, though. I was praying, like, God, I knew I couldn't get myself to leave because of the position, the pay, everything was so good, right? And I enjoyed it enough. But it had a difficult time changing.
Right.
And so I was like, God, take this job away from me.
Yeah, I remember you had been feeling like that for a while.
And because I couldn't do it myself and I didn't know what to do next, and I was just all over the place. And I felt like he took it away from me. Yeah. They were like, they were kind of like, oh, we're not going to renew your contract. And then I freaked out. Yeah. I'm like, wait, no,
don't take it away.
Like, and I know
I was just kidding.
Sandra was having a difficult time. I was like, you know, kind of, we talked about this episode a little bit before, is like that like provider anxiety and worrying about a job. And then I was like, you know, was able to talk my way back into getting that contract. And then, so like just that anxiety, that stress of not knowing you don't have a job, when it hits you, like I know you had 818 and it was definitely helped you to deal with it easier. But I also know, because we talked, like, if you want to share a little bit, just for anyone who has ever dealt with like a layoff or just if they might have to navigate that right in one of their seasons, like, were you stressed out at all? Like, did it cause any anxiety for you? Did it cause, like, I know you had 818, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. So if you want to share anything,
honestly, to me, it didn't.
Okay.
It didn't hurt me in any way. It didn't hit me in any way, like negatively, or like I didn't where was I? I think I was in the garage when I got the phone call at 7:30. It didn't hit me in any way. I didn't feel a certain way. I was just like, okay. And then again, something just clicked, like time to go back. Like time to hit it hard, time to go back, time to go all in. And because I felt like I had learned so much through Rivian, and while I was at Rivian, like I felt like I could bring all that into my own business.
Right.
So I didn't hurt. Like I was just like, okay. And I just went back in. And I remember talking to Brenda, and then she got really worried and she was sad. And I was like, it's going to be okay, babe. Don't trip. Like, it just means I got to go back in. Like it's not going to be a problem.
You had confidence in yourself.
Yeah.
Confidence in what you had built.
Yeah. So I was just like, we're going to be okay. Don't trip. Like, she's like, I'm sorry, babe. And it's like, it's cool. Like, like, honestly, Matt, I didn't feel anything. I didn't feel like I wasn't sad. I wasn't upset. I wasn't angry. I was just kind of like, okay.
I'm gonna slow you down for a second. And I'm not trying to impose or suggest any feelings for you. I'm just wondering, right? Like, was it any part of it, like you kind of just jumping to the next thing? Because and you know, it gets into that provider mentality, that provider anxiety. I think the term that we had talked about earlier is like was it a breadwinner's burden?
Okay.
That you just knew you didn't have time to like be sad about it.
Yeah.
And you're like, let's just keep going. You think it was more so that, or you really just didn't feel anything?
Maybe a little bit of both, but I think off the top of my head, I just didn't feel like I just wasn't sad that I got laid off. Like I just, because again,
but it was going to be a change, right?
It was going to be
and
changed.
You weren't going to have as much work right away.
Yeah.
I mean, Rivian's a big enough company.
Yeah.
I know you had a severance package.
Yeah.
I laid myself off this year.
Yeah.
0 severance package.
No,
so like,
yeah. And I remember so I think something that had to do a lot with it is also the travel was getting old. Travel was getting old. So I was just kind of like, here we go again.
So it was time.
So
it was time.
Yeah.
It was like me, like
I still enjoyed what I was doing. I enjoyed everything I was doing. I enjoyed helping with all the development that I did for the company. Like there's tons of programs that I help with. And that was cool, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was like, man, I took part of that, or this got approved because of me. Like it was awesome.
Oh yeah.
But their travel was getting old. And I think it was
JD's
actually
older.
something that hit was the first time that, because Brenda and JD would drop me off at the airport and they would pick me up every now and then.
Yeah.
Obviously, sometimes I'd get like really early flights or late flights, so I just like Uber. But there was one time where Brenda, I remember after I was out somewhere and Brenda picks up JD, she FaceTimes me and she's like, oh, we would always do that.
Mm-hmm.
How are you guys doing? Cool. How's school? How's work? And then she's like, JD's starting to miss you more. She's like, we came home. I picked him up from school and JD was like, is Dad going to be home? And then she's like, no, he comes back tomorrow. And he's like, oh, okay. And then she said that JD ran into the house and he was like, Dad, like he was looking for me.
Yeah.
And that one hurt.
Mm-hmm.
That one hurt. And then I remember getting dropped off at the airport. JD didn't want to drop me off because he knew that I was going to leave. So JD was like, no, Dad, I don't want you to go. Like, so as he's getting older, he's starting to miss me more.
Right.
And that was just kind of like, ah, man, this sucks.
Yeah.
Like, yes, I got to do what I got to do to provide for my family, but like, this kid's starting to miss me, starting to grow up. He's becoming his own little person, right? So like, he's not a baby anymore who's just like, put him in a crib or whatever, right? Like he's starting to be more active. He's going to school. He's doing all these cool things. So it was just kind of like, I don't want to miss out on any of this stuff. So I want to be around. So I think maybe in the back of my head, I was like, should I quit? Or what do I do? Like, how do I find that balance? But again, it's like, it's a guaranteed job, secure check. And we're doing well.
That secure check.
We're doing well, man. Like, we had just moved into our bigger place, all that stuff. So it was just kind of like, my rent's bigger, more expensive, whatever, right? Daycare's not cheap. So it was just kind of like, what do I do? And it would hit because it's like, I got to provide, but I also want to be there. And it's like, maybe I should just go back to 818 full time. And like, that allows me to be home.
Yeah.
And I would tell Brenda, like, I remember telling Brenda, I was like, if I leave Rivian, I'll be home every day. I might come home late because, I got to work.
Yeah. I remember.
But I'll always be home. Like, I will always be home. Like, I'll be home, whether it's dinner or maybe a little past dinner, but I'll always be home. And she was like, yeah. She's like, it was just different compared to like being at Rivian, where I did have my remote days and I was home, but there was those days where like I was out out of town. So I was just trying to find that balance. Like, if I go back 818, my days are gonna be longer, but I will always be home.
Yeah. And we haven't touched on too much of like, whether what you will call it or you want, I mean, religion or just to me, God in general, just like his hand and almost hearing the prayer, the cry in your heart of what you needed, kind of what your desire was. Yeah. And it kind of just, for some reason, it's always like kind of played itself out that way. Right. Yeah. And I know you're a man of faith, and I know and so I know you see it too, and people point it out for you, and you have people in your life that you talk to about that. So we don't even have to go like all the way into that. I just kind of noticing, when those things happen, and like, you weren't even like saying, I need to figure, like, yes, you could want it to, but it also just happened. Yeah. Right. And it happened in a way where you still had 818. Riven gave you a nice severance package. I'm not salty at all.
I took 2 weeks off. Yeah, I remember taking, because I was stressed, dude. Like, I wasn't stressed. I wasn't stressed, but it was just like it was just a lot of corporate stuff. Right. Like, and corporate's not easy, bro.
Dude, they gave me stress days off,
bro. I know. Remember I was telling you that? Yeah.
You never took any.
I never took any, dude.
Should have.
No, dude. I'm too old school and like stubborn to like stressed out. Y'all people are soft, bro. Like, what the heck's a stress day off? But remember, I was like, hey, dude, I don't know, dude. Something's happening to me, dude.
I need to take a stress day.
I think I'm just going to take a stress day off. Like, I'm getting soft, dude.
Yeah.
No, but like, where was I? Yeah, I blanked out right now.
No. So I was just telling you about kind of how like it was leading towards like Rivian, like your severance package. You took 2 weeks off.
Oh yeah, I took 2 weeks off, and I remember like telling Brendan. I told dude, like, dude, I'm taking 2 weeks off.
Yeah,
like 2 weeks off to where like the first week I did nothing. Take my kid to school. I come home and play Xbox or just clean my garage, like just whatever I wanted to do. I didn't have to worry about phone calls and emails or nothing. I'm not gonna worry about it when the first week.
Yeah,
right. Like I'm just gonna take a week off to do nothing. And yeah, I would do that. Come home. I like just play Xbox or do whatever I want. I'd like be on the couch for hours and like scroll on TikTok, whatever. I took a week off.
Yeah.
Second week was like, okay, now let's restructure 818. Let's go over my services. Let's go over our packages. Let's go over our pricing, because my pricing was outdated because I wasn't fully active for 2.5 years. So like I started looking at the market, like I started looking at what like some of the higher end detailers who I look up to are doing. And it's like looking at the detailers who are busy or constantly putting up content and stuff, like, all right, what are the services looking like? What are their pricing at? And the market and the pricing, dude, was so different. I was like, I found out that I was busy because I was cheap. Yeah. Like, and that one, it didn't hurt because I was still making good money, but it kind of hurt.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, oh, I'm busy because I'm cheap.
No, I mean,
that's how I took it.
I can hear you criticizing yourself in your head, right? Which we all do. We always find a way, no matter how much success we have, to tell ourselves how we're not good enough. Yeah.
So I was just like, man, I'm busy because I'm cheap, dude. Nah. Because the market had changed.
Yeah.
Like everyone was charging like a premium price.
Right.
And I think more and more people were like, mobile detailing is a luxury, not a necessity. So like whatever, right? So like my pricings were off. So then I did a price adjustment. I did a packages adjustment. I was like, my menu, I went over my menu. So I did a week of like restructuring that and just mentally like, okay, what do I need to do? Order new uniforms. I'm going to start fresh. I saw it as a fresh start without starting from the bottom. So it's like, I'm going to start over. I'm going to start fresh, but I already have a really good structure and foundation, and I know where to start. I have all these ideas. I don't have to make the same mistakes over again, right? So that was the second week I did that. Went over my social media, went over my services, my packages, readjusted everything. And I was like, I took a week off. I cleaned out my van. I reorganized everything. Like, it was like a fresh start. And that was very helpful because I was like, all right, we're getting ready to go. Next week, Brendan's like, so when you go back to work? I was like, next week. Like, this is last week I hung out. This week I'm doing 818. And then next week I'm ready to go back to work. Yeah.
I mean, I think having that time to kind of like restart to, you know, I'm sure was helpful because you do need that transition. And that leads us into kind of like, as much as you can share, like where you are today, like 818 mentally, you know, as much as you want to share, like with JD, some of like your realizations and just, where you are like with those things. And obviously with Brenda too, because I know she's a big part of it. You know, I know this is just a balance, spending time with your wife, spending time with your kid, making sure you're making enough money. And also like it's your business, you know, it's
right. So, I mean, just as of right now, like I'll be honest with you, like the kickoff refresh with 818 didn't go as I thought it was going to go. And I think because I was gone for 2.5 years. So a lot of my clients didn't know I was back.
Yeah.
I didn't know I was back. A lot of people were like, I also never made an announcement like I'm back. And maybe that was my fault, or maybe I just felt a certain way about making hey, I'm back. Yeah. Because technically I never left.
Right.
I just wasn't as available.
Right.
Because I was still detailing while I was at Rivian, and I still had cars and I was still posting content, but I wasn't full time, right? But I don't know. Maybe it was just my pride. I was like, I don't want to make I'm back because I never left. Yeah. So I never did it like, hey guys, I'm back full time, or like whatever. Never did any of that.
Well, he's back.
I'm back. So it didn't. I think I was like yeah, I'm going to go back and everything's going to be fine. Like full time, I'm all in. And I'm going to be busy all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't quite work out that way. It was like a slow transition into it. And it was just kind of like, I was reaching out to people like, hey, FYI, I'm back. And then some of my old clients were like, hey, I see you're a little bit more active. Are you back? And I was like, yeah, I'm back. And boom, they started like reaching out. But I never did like a hit me up kind of deal, right?
Mm-hmm.
But so when I came back, because I had learned so much at Rivian and I had all these new relationships and skills, I was doing more like higher end services. During Rivian, obviously, we moved to a bigger house with a garage, and Brenda was kind enough to give me the garage. So the garage at home is like a home studio.
Mm-hmm.
It's a shop. We have it all set up. You saw it there one time when you dropped off a car.
Detailed there.
And you're like, damn, dude, you look legit in here, like with your desk and everything. Like, and you know, that was the plan. We moved into a bigger house. We had a garage, and this turned into the studio, so I can do bigger projects. So I was doing more of the bigger projects, corrections and ceramic coatings and stuff like that. So those were good.
Yeah.
Because you want to do one of those a day, or it takes 2 days, and you don't want to wash cars all day. But it didn't kick off as well as I thought it was going to.
Mm-hmm.
It's been really like up and down. It's slow, and it was consistent enough, right? To where everything's fine. Like, we're good.
Yeah.
But then, like, obviously, I mean, I want to say, like, just with the current struggle of the economy, I guess, and there's so many other, it's not just a detailing industry, talking to so many other people that I've known.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's been a little slow. I got people in the union, like electricians and cement pumpers, or they're like, bro, I haven't worked for 4 months. I haven't worked for 8 months.
Wow.
Talking to other detailers, like, are you busy? Like, nah, bro, it's slow. And like, yeah, man, I'm slow too. Friends with shops are like, bro, I'm slow. I had to let one of my guys go. Talking to shop, like detail store owners, walking in there to like fill up water, and they're like, hey, are you busy today? I was like, I'm good today. It's been slow here, man. And I was like, I'm good today. I got nothing for tomorrow. Like, so it's been the kickoff never took off like I thought it was. It was consistent enough to where like we were good. But now the last couple of months, it's been like a struggle.
Right.
It's been a lot slower. And obviously, and I get it, like I said, detailing is seasonal. So once the wind hits, you can't work, because the minute you rinse the vehicle, all the dirt gets stuck to it. So there's no point. You're just gonna scratch and damage the vehicle. And mobile guys know that. I was out of town last week, and I'm seeing like all the detailer stories where like, because of the wind, I'm not working, so here I am having a really good breakfast. Whatever, right? We make the best of it.
Yeah,
it is what it is,
to.
right?
Yeah.
So obviously, I know the wind. Once the wind kicks off, we can't do mobile work. What comes after the wind? The rain. So that means we're out for our next 2 or 3 months or whatever. So I know it's gonna slow down even more. So then now with that being the provider, like, where do I stand? Like, what do I do? And it's stressful, right? Because like, I want to be the provider. I want to make sure my family's okay, my kid, my girl, rent, whatever. And it put me in a really tight spot. Funny how things work. Again, Rivian reached out.
Yeah.
So
not burning bridges, right?
No.
Yeah, no.
No, because again, like when I got let go, I didn't feel any type of way. I wasn't angry. I wasn't like F them, blah blah. None of that. I kept in contact with Kenneth. Kenneth was my friend before I met him. He became my bigger friend during Rivian, because we got to like actually work together, and he's still my friend.
Yeah.
So then they're working on some of the projects that I started back when I was there. They're doing a push. So some of the higher ups are like, hey, what's your relationship with Mario? You're like, what do you mean? Like, you think he would want to come back and help us with some of these programs and move forward? And Kenneth's like, let me talk to him. So Kenneth reached out recently. Rivian reached out, and there's an opportunity there again.
Yeah.
And just me with the mentality, like, I know detailing, if it's slow now, it's going to slow down even more during the winter. So I'm like, what do I have to do? What do I need to do to provide for my family, right? Like, I got to get a job. So then I actually have 2 interviews today after the podcast with Rivian. Probably do a comeback there. I don't know what's going to happen with that. But again, like, and I'll still have my accounts that I'm very consistent with. Like, I have weekly accounts and I have weekend accounts. So I'll still be doing that. It's not going to involve travel anymore.
Yeah.
So the availability would still be there. But again, like, it's like, even before Riven reached out, with how slow everything was, I had told Brenda, she's like, what are you going to do? And I was like, I'm going to get a nighttime job. I want to be available for 818 during the day. I don't sleep anyways. I might as well just get a nighttime job. And I've always had like, I've always had like nighttime jobs, like stocking stuff, right? So I'm like, I'm just going to get a nighttime job.
That's true. I forgot.
I used to service Home Depots and Lowe's and stuff like that. I don't want to call Home Depot and Lowe's and be like, hey, what's up, dudes? But I'm like, I want something a little cleaner now.
I think you've been keeping yourself open, right, and like humble to approach something like that, right, and not like, nah, like 818's gonna just kick off, and
I'm being on, and that's why I'm like
that Rivian.
I want to be available for 818, right? I want to be there for my clients and my people. But if I'm not working during the day, like I'll get a nighttime job so that I got something, right? So I can still cover our bills and be okay. Like I'm not the type of person to be prideful for that. Like, and it's funny because sometimes with 818 just being slow and like, man, I didn't get any cars today. And it's like, is it me? Am I doing something wrong? And it's like, I know I'm not lazy, bro, because I've had 2 full-time jobs forever. Yeah. So it's like, I know I'm not lazy because if the work is there, I'll do the work. Mm-hmm. And it's like, okay, it's not that. Let me check that off my list. Let me get that out of my head because it's like, am I just lazy and I don't want to work? No, that's not it. It's just people don't have the money for it, or everyone's struggling, bro. If I'm struggling and I'm hearing my other buddies struggle, like everyone's struggling. Mm-hmm. So it's like, yeah, maybe washing my car isn't a necessity right now or a priority.
Well, and I think like because you have grown like this community around you, all these people that will support you, right? That sometimes you don't even have to mention that you're struggling and they reach out, right? Because they know what you do. Obviously, I'm just really noticing that like in your story, even though I'm very familiar with it, but just hearing it like all in one like this, just seeing that. And man, I know that's kind of where you are right now. I know there's other things and like and I don't know. I just really hope that God has you either be patient or just moves you in the right direction, whatever it is. I'm sure you seem to keep making the right move. So I feel like it could be something new, maybe, or it could be a little bit of both, or like what you started with 818. It's like a couple or 2 things at once and then a transition. But one thing I know is that, like you said, you're a hard worker. Yeah. You're going to figure it out. You love your customers. You love what you do. And you see your family as a priority. I know you have to go for an interview soon, but is there anything else that you want to share or mention? This has been really great, actually. And I know there's detailers, so I know you probably share it with other ones that kind of need to hear this story, right? That are just starting or in the middle or losing hope or just need to know that they need to stay connected to their detailer community or find people that are good around them. So there's just a lot here that I know is good for them. But if there's anything else you want to share,
I mean, just when it comes to the detail, like I said, I've been doing this 13 years now. Mm-hmm. So like I already know, and a lot of detailers know this. Your grind time is spring and summer, and you work, and you save. Yeah, right. You save because you know that the fall and the winter are coming. Mm-hmm. You gotta save for those years, and every year before this one, it's been good because like you'll save and but because this year was slower throughout the summer and it didn't allow us to just save as much as we would want to and feel comfortable. And then and when it comes to the detailers, everyone's journey is different, right? There's really young detailers, they're fortunate enough to still be home, so their priorities and they don't have as much expenses. So, but I always tell them like, hey, bro, be smart with your money, bro, because summer's good time, bro. But once the winter and the fall comes, like you got to make sure, like, and it's I know this is detailing related, but you'll see it, like like right now, like if you were to start going like on like OfferUp or anything like that, or even if you were to like go to Home Depot and like Lowe's, you see all the pressure washers and generators being returned because it's slowing down. Yeah. So, or on OfferUp, equipment's up for grabs.
Then I'll even say that, like, I know you're throwing out that wisdom free 99.
Yeah.
But either like listening to things, getting tied into even right, if you're a detailer or you're starting your own business, to that community, so you know some of the things to expect, right? Because I'd imagine if you're coming from, like you were, from a job that's 9 to 5 and you're working 2 jobs, you know it's steady, right? Yeah. You're depending on the bigger company to keep you employed, and it feels super secure.
Yeah.
Even though you can get laid off, or things could happen. And when you switch to running your own business, sometimes your rhythm of that is like, man, this is making good money. Yeah. I'm gonna spend it, and then just keep spending it, not knowing that the rhythm may change and it's not exactly like what you were just coming from.
Yeah, it'll change. And there's detailers have memes and everything. Like detailers during the summer, like eating lobster and steak. Detailers in the winter, it's like Maruchan or whatever. There's memes, bro. Like, because the ones that know. Yeah, you know, and like that's just the reality of our budget, our industry, and and it's like that with a bunch of other industries, like construction, like
gardening. Yeah.
They're in a wild training. They don't get that stuff done. So, you know, but so, right now is, you know, God's played a huge role in my life with everything. I've always had, like, he's always just, I never lose faith. I'm always patient, and I roll with I just go with it. And I've been fortunate enough to where, like, I feel very blessed that every time there's an opportunity there. Again, just with the thought of like, all right, I'm gonna go get a nighttime job. Here comes Rivian reaching out. Yeah. Again, I'm not looking. Well, I guess I was looking. You were looking. I was about to start looking, right? But here comes Rivian, and I'd be like, hey, you know, what's the chances of Mario coming back? Yeah. And again, because I didn't burn any bridges or anything like that, and it's pretty cool to hear that some of the higher ups are like, call Mario, you know, and like my boss Kenneth, ex-boss, future boss, whatever, he's super excited for this to move forward and work out. And again, it's just like part of the journey. Like, I'm fortunate enough and I'm blessed that, like, I just go with the flow, and God blesses me with opportunities when I need them and stuff like that. So I'm excited for whatever comes, whether it works out with Rivian or if not. Just continue to hit it hard with A18. Got a couple more, maybe another month of solid weather, and just do what I got to do. If
you need a detail, you probably won't get one from this guy because he's going to be too busy.
No. Honestly, with JD and the family now, it's a little bit different. And again, maybe that's where I need to adjust, because I'm so used to, or maybe I just go back to when I was single and I was available from like 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. Right? Yeah. If you hit me up at 8 p.m., like, you got time? Let's go.
Yeah. Someone threw up in my backseat of my car.
Yeah, I'm on my way. Right? Like, I was always available. And I think I still have that. I'm attached to that, where like I was available all day. Now it's different. Like, now I'm available after 9 o'clock. Because if I am able to take JD to daycare and Brenda goes to her job in the morning, so she goes to work, and then I take care of JD in the morning and drop him off at daycare. And then she picks him up, and that allows me to work a little later. Or if I can't drop him off and she drops him off, then that means I have to end my day a little earlier because I have to pick him up. So it's just that balance,
which is reasonable. Like, you've been doing it for so long. I know your skill level is so high where, like, you could get things done faster. Yeah. And two, the type of jobs you are capable of doing now can make you money a lot faster. Yeah. Because they require that much skill, right? It's not about time anymore. Yeah. Right. I know in the beginning with jobs like this, it's like, well, like, did I sweat enough? You know, did it take enough time? Yeah. And now it's like, you've spent so many years, right? And to do, you know, stuff that I don't have the language for, I'm sure, but like the codings and stuff that it requires so much skill. So,
you know what's crazy? Like, to me, what's crazy, and I don't know why, I don't know why my mentality's there, but I have friends who I feel bad. I feel guilty for charging what I charge sometimes. Yeah. When I get it done in like such a small amount of time. I struggle with that so much.
I remember you telling me, you're like, just faking it, like, so they feel like they got more out of it.
Yes, there's been times where like I'll milk it. I'll spend an extra 30 minutes and an hour,
even though you were done already.
I could have gotten done in 2 hours, and I could have charged so much, but I feel bad. Yeah. And there's times where like I'll get the job done, and I'm reaching out to my buddies. It's like, hey, dude, I just did this coding or whatever in like 2.5 hours or whatever the case may be, right? Yeah. How much should I charge? And he's like, bro, charge what you charge. Like, it's not your fault that you've become efficient. Right. it's not your fault that you've been doing it for so long that you make it look easy, and you know it's easy to you and it's natural. Charge what it's worth. But I'm like, bro, I feel bad. I guess I didn't feel bad when it was taking me 6 hours to charge whatever.
Yeah.
But now that it's taking me 2.5, I'm like, bro, I'm about to hit somebody with a $700 tag, like on a 2-hour job. Like, but my buddies are like, it's not your fault that you become efficient. It's a skill, right?
So obviously, right, with other professions, like you got your doctorate.
Yeah.
In detailing.
Yeah.
Well, how much do doctors charge for like a 15-minute visit, right?
Yeah.
Or like an hour thing.
And I hear that with plumbers.
Yeah.
Like, bro, plumbers, like that's their set price.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it takes them 5 minutes or 10, 15 minutes or an hour, like this is their price.
Yeah.
But I struggle with that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because like I think it's because I just genuinely care for people.
Yeah.
And I take into consideration what they're going through or what everybody else is going through. You know what I mean? So it just kind of like, I'm going to hook them up today. It should have been this, but hey man, how much is it, Mario? What I owe? Just give me this much. Are you sure? And it's fine, bro. Don't trip. And I don't know, maybe that's also helped with my relationship with some of my clients. They always take care of me too, though. So it's just kind of like,
you're gonna take me down like a whole other thing I've told you. And I was gonna check the time. We could go a little bit longer. And so this is obviously the longest podcast. So Mario's going to appreciate this because he could listen back to it on like a long drive. Because the last one, he was like, I got gypped. That was only like 30 minutes.
Sorry. I'm that type of guy. Like,
no, and it's okay. Obviously with interviews and like with guests, obviously this conversation can go long. Yeah. But you take me down this path. And this is for a little bit for both of us, is that obviously we've been friends for a long time.
Yes.
I've seen your character. I've learned things from you like that helped me to be a more present, more like just aware of how you're showing up, aware of like, are you showing up with love and kindness? And it's not just like in my head, it's also with what you're doing.
Yeah.
But also it could be the other way. If you're just doing it for doing it, then you're just for show because you don't really care, right? So it has to come with both.
Yeah.
And what I'm getting at is that in my Christian kind of development, and I'm like getting more into church and stuff, learning more about like Jesus and learning like just like learning all those things and like how it is to be like a good Christian and not celebrate Halloween like you said. But even though I do,
it wasn't my fault. Somebody else pointed it out, not me.
But just joking there. Really.
I wouldn't have known. I would have known.
but I just shared with you. I remember one moment is that what I'm getting at is like what you said, because you have such a heart for people, right?
Yeah.
And you want to kind of hook them up too, and you want to show some love to them, and you're like, well, I can kind of, it is a sacrifice though.
Yeah.
And so seeing you do those things, like I remember one time I told you like, man, Mario, like you walk out like Christianity and like as a follower of Jesus so naturally. And I could just see it in like who you were, even though like, I know you well enough. I know you're not like reading your Bible every day, right?
Yeah.
You're not like studying this stuff like I was at that time.
Right.
And I just saw it on you. And like, I saw those two things together. And I think oftentimes like it just comes so naturally to you.
Yeah.
And I think it's cause like, that's the way God like has this all set up, is that like love and caring for other people. Yeah. It is really it's like, it's equity and like building in that and investing in that. It's so huge and it's always going to return no matter what. There's always going to be returns on it.
Yeah.
And I just,
I didn't know I was doing that until you pointed it out. Mm-hmm. I thought I was just, I don't know. I'm just a nice guy, I guess. I don't know. But you're like, nah, dude. And because that's when you were like, really reading the Bible and getting into all the religion and Christianity. So when you pointed it out, I was like, oh man, that's pretty cool. Like I was like, thanks, Matt. Like when you're like, dude, like I was at church and they were talking about a good Christian. And I was like, dude, why is that describing Mario? And I'm like, oh, thanks. Like but I don't know what it is, bro. It's just, that's just how I feel sometimes. Like I want people to know that I appreciate them and I'm thankful for them, whether it's allowing me to detail their car and keeping me busy, or I've done it like where it's like, if I know it's their birthday, I'm like, my clients, like I'll take them flowers or like something I know they like, or there's be like, what do I eat today? It's on the house, man. It's your birthday.
Wow.
What? Like, Mario, no. I was like, it's your birthday, man. Like, you call me every other week. It's cool, man. Like, don't trip. I don't go with the mentality like you're losing. I'm losing, or I'm gonna get rich off every single client.
Yeah.
Like that's not my mentality. Like that's just not where I'm at.
Yeah.
Like I'm not. I want to use the word I'm not greedy like that, because I know there's some guys that can get that way, but I just like, if I know it's like, if I over here, oh yeah, it's my birthday next week or whatever, or it was this past week, or
I think it's kind of like the culture of, I mean, I wouldn't say just like this where we live or just our society or just our country, but just the thing, like when we're starting a business, right, we're told, make sure you can make money on it. Make sure the numbers are good. Make sure those things, right? So as you start the business, all you're looking at is the money.
Yeah.
Oftentimes, right? But if you have, hopefully if somebody's giving you enough wisdom and direction, usually you're investing in your customers is probably more important than making like a buck and getting rich off of like your first year. And because those relationships, I'm just like, I just keep on hearing like in your story and what you do, like just the relationships, caring about people, being grateful, right, in itself will reward you. Yeah. But it is easy to get caught up in, am I making enough money, right? Because that security can make you afraid and make you, am I providing for my family? But for I won't say for whatever reason, I think your parents, I'm sure they raised you well, and it is like just also in you, your values, kind of just keep you focused on really your core values, and it's guided you.
I don't know what to say.
Well, it's 11:11.
Make a wish.
Time. Yeah, make a wish.
Make a wish.
My wish came true.
There you go.
You're here, Mario,
I'm
with
here.
me.
Thanks,
first
man.
Guest.
Thank you.
Well, everyone, like I said, he has interviews, things to do, kid to rear, people to take care of. But thanks for joining us. If you have stayed this long, and I'm sure you've heard Mario's story like all the way through, I'm sure it's been a blessing to you. Honestly, I've known him and I've heard pieces of this, right? But it was just a gift for me, hearing it like from beginning to end and just seeing patterns. And it's just beautiful when you can hear somebody's story and like from beginning to end and kind of just take something from it or see like things you can learn. So I'm just grateful. Again, thank you for tuning in. Really appreciate it. Until next time, see you guys.
Thank you.